folks, and welcome to another edition of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade, J52, and I am joined this week by my merry band of misfit cohorts. We have the crazy pink dancing Gorn, Gornalicious, aka TeacherKirby.
How's it going, folks?
And that's what I have to put up with. Off to my immediate right, we also have everyone's favorite RP hologram, Artie. And sitting at the con of our Wells-class starship, we have Harrison Dula. Wait a minute, something wrong with that franchise name.
What up,
Oh wait, no, that's just Neela. What's happening, dude? But since there's been some scuttlebutt of a Tier 6 Wells in the work, and also in part due to our budget build, we figured, why not meet here? But last week we didn't have a show. Sadly, the rain was preventing me from holding a stable internet connection. It was actually pretty bad flash flooding here in this area. I know some counties in my state actually qualify for state aid. It has actually been that bad. Thankfully, everything was good here. We didn't get flooded out too bad or anything. But, yeah. With all that said and everything, let's go ahead and dive into our articles. And the first thing we have here is actually our Pilot Escort Mega Bundle. Or the Allied Escort Mega Bundle, I should say. But for those of you that love the old Andorian escorts, we finally have a Tier 6 version of those. We have some Andorian escorts for our Federation ships. We also have the Lethian escorts for the KDF, and the Day 1 escorts for the Romulan Republic. You can kind of see as it cycles through the various things there what we have. Now, these ships do have the full-blown pilot maneuvers, so they are indeed true pilot ships. Then we also have the universal consoles here. We have the wing torpedo platforms that come on the Guthar, the Onaros, and the Dinasia Day 1 Escort. Probably butchered those names, so don't yell at me. But the torpedo platform, whenever you activate torpedo spread 1, 2, or 3, your torpedo platforms will activate torpedo spread 1. If you activate high yield 1, 2, or 3, you will get a high yield 1. So essentially, you get a duplicate of the power you just activated, more or less. It will fire photons at your target. It also has a passive boost to critical hit chance with projectile weapons and critical hit severity with projectile weapons. The second universal console is the Gateway Trap Spawner. Provides a passive boost to scientific readiness and control expertise. It says it's basically a short-range teleportation thing and can be debilitating if enemies are drugged through the transition. And I'm kind of skimming over some of this because there's a good bit to it. And we have the Neurophasic Disruption Field. Gives a passive boost to flight speed and resistance to slowing effects. And can wreak havoc on power systems and enemy vessels, causing numerous electrical overloads, so deals electrical damage, I'm assuming. Then we have the Painful Memories trait. Causes psionic energy resonance within the EPS of the enemy ships when activating any foe affecting engineering bridge officer power. This is reflected by an electrical damage over time effect that slows the affected foe's engines. Then we have the improved gravity well. While this trait is slotted, your gravity well anomalies last twice as long and recharge much faster. Additionally, the primary foe targeted by your gravity well will have their damage resistance rating reduced for the duration of the anomaly. Then we also have our Promise of Ferocity. While it is slotted, activating tactical or pilot bridge officer abilities will provide a bonus damage buff as long as you remain in combat. Buff can stack up to 5 times, but all stacks are lost immediately upon leaving combat. Then we also have the Alliance Hyper Cannon. Everything, it's a 360-degree weapon, and this was changed to radiation damage, so the blog is slightly outdated. But originally it fired a phaser, disruptor, and plasma damage weapon. But also, commissioning any of the ships in this bundle will unlock the ability to purchase specialized weapon sets from the Dilithium store. Andorian phasers, Lethian disruptors, and Dewan plasma weapons are each made available to the applicable faction, and each of these weapons comes pre-equipped with a suite of these weapons as well. So, in a nutshell, that's some of the stuff we have.
Well,
but
I have
thoughts from you guys on the new ships.
Would you like to? All right. I have to say they look very nice for a 25th of their 25th century ships. Like the Andorian vessels are definitely an upgrade from what you previously saw with their Tier 5, the Kamari escorts. It just looks like a very definite upgrade. And for the Lethians and Day One, these are the first time we're seeing either of those styles of ships. We actually get a little bit more of an idea of how their technology may even work, if we're even going that far. So I just love the new designs that they're adding to STO with this.
And for me,
Okay.
oh my gosh, improved gravity well? Yes, please. Yeah, that is just. Wait until you see the stats for it. Oh, and the promise of ferocity is very good as well. So yeah, I just good things to play with. Yeah.
Yeah, Teach sounds giddy all about it.
And what about you, Sir Neela?
Huh?
Is he even still here? Oh wait, there he is.
I'm actually kind of excited to play with the gateway trap spawner. Control people with an ISA, drag the enemy away.
I can see that being fun. And am I the only one that thinks
Well,
the KDF ships
no.
I was
rival
thinking it
B-Wing
too, but
from Star Wars?
I was not going to be the one to go there.
I could see where you get the design idea, but no, it's a different setup altogether.
Oh, they definitely borrowed from the B-Wing, I think. At least that's my...
And so
story
you're
I'm
saying
sticking
that the
to
Day
it.
One got their idea from a fish.
Which,
Oh, don't even
Yeah.
get me started about what I think they look
something like that. Which they did do good designs with them, don't get me wrong. I just think that they definitely borrowed from the aspects of a B-Wing. But anyways, that's
Yeah,
our
just
brief
think,
overview,
yeah,
and
if they did take it from the B-Wing, which B-Wing was it? The B-Wing Hera flew, or the B-Wing from Return of the Jedi?
fair enough. But moving along, we had our
Yes,
Zen
so,
discounts and pack
from
sales.
February 14th, Valentine's Day, until February 20th at 8 a.m. Pacific time, of course. There is on the PS4 only a Zen discount sale. Discounts range from 10% for 500 Zen and 1000 Zen, all the way up to 20% for 1100 Zen. So, those are your discounts, and in addition to that, PS4 packs on the US PlayStation Store will be discounted by 15% from February 13th until February 20th. The packs included are the Starfleet Starter Pack, the Klingon Defense Force Starter Pack, the Romulan Legacy Starter Pack, the Starfleet Pack, the Empire Pack, and the Legacy Pack. Oh, sorry, and the Final Frontier Pack. So grab these while they're on sale and enjoy.
Also, note that Xbox, well, this discount will be happening at a later date.
Yes.
My guess is probably Microsoft doing.
Yeah, that's my guess as well.
Yep. But Xbox players out there, you guys will be getting the update, as Neela said. It's just gonna be at a later date. We don't 100% know why. We can speculate as to why we think that is, but rest assured, you guys will be getting something for this. But moving right along, we actually have the stats of our pilot escort.
What we have here is obviously they're going to section up into the 3 different variants that we have for each class. You got the engineering, the science, and tactical versions. Between each of the ships, they're not much different, so we'll just start going down with what we have here. Let's start with the engineering variants. That would be the Uthar, the Orinos, and the Dainesa. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing any of those correctly. But what we have here, starting out with the hull strength of 30,600 at level 40, and getting the max of 40,800 at level 60. Shield modifier of 1.1. It's a 5.2 layout for weapons. Device slot is 2. And for bridge officer stations, you got 1 commander tactical / pilot, 1 ensign engineering, 1 lieutenant commander engineering, 1 lieutenant universal, and 1 lieutenant commander universal, which I think you'll get a lot of bonus with 2 universal seats there. The console modification is 5 tactical, 4 engineering, 2 science. Base turn rate of 16, which is actually really nice. Impulse modifier of 0.2. Inertia is 70, so you're going to get a little bit more speed than you normally would on escorts. And you get the plus 15 to weapon and plus 5 to engines for a set stat. Console for the engineer is the wing torpedo platform. Get the experimental weapon, the Alliance Hypercannon, which I believe we'll get to that in a moment. You also get the pilot maneuver mechanic that you originally saw with the first pilot ships that you saw. And you get the Starship Mastery Package Escort, which would give bonus to accuracy, defense, weapon damage, and critical chance. And at the end, give you the Starship trait Painful Memories, which we went over just a moment ago. Next, we have the science variants, which would be the Nemesh, the Nemosin, and the Ikabar. Alright, starting here, it's not too much different from the hull. It's still 30,600 at level 40 to the max of 40,800 at level 60. Still the 1.1 shield mod at the 5.2 weapons layout. Same with the device slot at 2 slots. The bridge officer stations, however, is 1 commander tactical pilot, 1 ensign engineering, 1 lieutenant commander science, 1 lieutenant universal, and 1 lieutenant commander universal. This, for the consoles, you'll have a 5 tactical, 2 engineering, 4 science, with the base turn rate of 16, impulse modifier of 0.2, and inertia of 70. You also get the same plus 15 to weapons and plus 5 to engine power. And for this one, you get the Universal Console Gateway Trap Spawner. You also get the Hypercannon and pilot maneuvers as stated. And you also get the same Starship Mastery Package Escort. For this one, the Starship trait would be the Improved Gravity Well, which that would be a very fun one with that Gateway Trap Spawner, I'm pretty sure. Lastly, we have the tactical variants, the Tozin, the Zekas, and the Vandros. It's the same hull strength again, the 30,600 at level 40, 40,800 at level 60. Same with the shield, 1.1. I have 2 weapons, 2 device slots. Bridge officer stations, you got the 1 lieutenant commander tactical, 1 commander commander tactical / pilot, 1 ensign engineering, 1 lieutenant universal, and 1 lieutenant commander universal. So it just cuts out the science seating altogether. You have the console layout of 5 tactical, 3 engineering, 3 science, so it's more mid-ground than the other 2. Same base turn rate of 16. Impulse modifier is still 0.2 with the inertia at 70. Plus 15 to weapons and plus 15 engines. And here you get the universal console Neuro Phasic disruption field. You also get the hybrid cannon as well as pilot maneuvers, mastery package Escort, and finally the Starship trait Promise Ferocity. Now let's get a little bit into the universal console at the bottom here. The universal wing torpedo platform. The Starship will be equipped with the deployed torpedo platform, which will orbit your ship and fire at any target nearby. The torpedo platforms are able to use the different torpedo abilities, such as torpedo spread 1, 2. If you use 1, 2, or 3, it gets spread 1. As well as if you use high yield 1, 2, or 3, it also gets high yield 1. So there you go. This console also provides a passive boost to critical hit chance with projectile weapons, and a critical hit severity with projectile weapons. The winged torpedo platform will last 60 seconds when summoned, periodically fire torpedoes at your current target, and just to reiterate, any of your torpedo spreads will get the type 1 for both spread and high yield. So there you go. The next console, I think, will actually soon become one of my favorites. The Gateway Trap Spawner. This was apparently with one of the lost relics of the Day 1 civilization. There's your little RP spot. And it's basically, the console represents a refurbish of one of those attempts of making the gateway, forming a short-range gateway that links 2 locations in local space. Such short-range transportation would typically not be found useful, but it would be discovered that the travel can be damaging and debilitating if the enemy vessel are forced to make that transition. Well, that's what this console does. It creates the trap within 2 kilometers of a foe, and the exit gateway near your location. It lasts about 10 seconds. All foes within 5 kilometers of the gateway trap is pulled, slowed, and suffers kinetic damage for each second. Those that are within 0.2 kilometers of the trap gets teleported to the exit gateway, which is near you, and all their subsystems are offline for 4.5 seconds. Lastly, you have the Neurophasic disruption field. This technology was modeled after some of the principles found present in Lethean neurophysiology, but on a Starship-sized scale. Well, that's another RP thing for you guys. This basically, once per 10 seconds, affecting up to 10 foes within 5 kilometers of the targeted foe. Electrical damage plus confuse for 1 second, and then 20% chance to disable for 1 second. This console also provides a passive boost to flight speed and resistance slowing effects. Resistance to slowing effects, my mistake. For the console set bonus, you have Alliance Dogfighters, equipping equipping 2 of the gives you predictive maneuvering, which is increasing your accuracy and flight speed, and getting the 3-piece gives you streamlined circuitry, reduces recharge time for all the Alliance pilot Escort console abilities, and the winged torpedo platforms will now utilize the rank 2 of high yield and spread instead of the rank 1. And now we're at the bottom at Starship Traits. Painful Memories. Simply enough, it gives you a minus 50% flight speed, and electrical damage each second for 100 shield. I don't think I'm reading that right. This is reflected by electrical damage over time effects that also slow the afflicted foe's engine. Okay, so whoever you're targeting gets the negative 50% flight speed and electrical damage. My
I
mistake.
was gonna say.
Yeah, I was so confused. Like, why are you taking damage? What? Okay, improved gravity well. This one should be basically yeah. The duration of the gravity well will now increase from 20 seconds to 40 seconds. The recharge time of the gravity well is reduced by 20 seconds. And the primary target of the gravity well suffers minus 20 all damage resistance rating for 40 seconds. So that's going to be a very nasty hit when you use it.
Now, I just want the listeners out there to think about this, okay? So the gravity well will now last 40 seconds. And the reduction on cooldown to the gravity well will be 40 seconds. Or will be 20 seconds, sorry. Your gravity well can be activated once every minute prior to this. So if you take 20 seconds off of that cooldown, that's 40 seconds. So gravity well lasts 40 seconds. I can now activate it once every 40 seconds. What does that mean?
Have more than one gravity well.
No, it means constant gravity.
Oh, yeah.
Constant gravity well.
You're basically a star at this point with that many gravity wells.
Yeah. So.
Yep. Also note
Yeah.
that this will not push it past the global cooldown.
Alright. Finally, for the final Starship trait, we got Promise of Ferocity. While the Starship trait is slotted, activating tactical or pilot bridge officer abilities will provide a bonus damage buff as long as you remain in combat once every few seconds. This buff stacks up to 5 times, but all stacks are lost immediately once leaving combat. So per stack, you get plus 4% bonus all damage with the Starship weapons. The Starship weapons for the during combat, and max once per 4 seconds. 5 stacks maximum. All stacks are lost as combat ends. That's just all the gibberish for that. And now, the experimental weapon. The Alliance Hyper Cannon. This weapon fires a 360 degree arc and has the chance of causing the additional effects. Actually, is this the same thing as what we read on the other post? It looks like it's the same. Oh,
yeah.
It does radiation damage,
okay.
but it can
block
one of
it
the
basically
effects of
just
the 3.
uses could do radiation damage, but has the chance of doing the phaser, subsystem offline, disruptor, damage resistant rating debuff, or the plasma damage over time. So there you go. I think that would be a very good bonus now, since we had a lot of kinetic weaponry for the experimental weapons and whatnot. Also, the special weapon unlocks. Once you commission any of the ships from the bundle, you will be able to purchase the specialized weapons from the Dilithium store. For the Andorian ships, you get Andorian phasers, Lithium disruptors, as well as the Day 1 plasma weapons. These could be mixed and matched, of course. I believe so, anyway. For Starship Interiors, the Andorian, Kuthar, Kamesh, and Kazoan pilot ships will have access to the interior available to the previously released Andorian vessels. The Day 1 and Lithium vessels will make use of existing interiors available for their respective factions. So that just means that the Day 1 you'll get the standard Romulan bridge, and the Lithians will get whatever Klingon bridges have. And at the very bottom, disclaimer: all this information in the blog is subject to change. So remember that, just in case.
I would note for people out there that the Promise of Ferocity is still a Category 2 bonus. It's been reduced slightly because, 25% Cat 2 is, broke as all heck. But it is still worth getting, and it now has a lockout to it, type of thing. But still definitely worth getting.
So do I.
Also, I want these ships.
I mean, doesn't everyone?
Good point. Good point.
They just.
Well, I
they
just want
look
to say,
so-
if any
uh,
cryptic devs were listening,
But
you guys need to hurry up and stop delaying it. You guys just need to hurry up and get a tier 6 Kirby. Thank you.
there it is.
Would the Carfy be
There
the
it
tier 6
is.
version be a dreadnought carrier or something, or just full on carrier?
Phone carrier.
Hashtag tier 6 Carpy.
Well, there's the ulterior motive of Neela this evening, but not saying I don't agree with him, because reasons, but... But, anyways, that's our stats for the various ships. Highly recommend you guys check them out, especially if you're a fan of escorts, or you just want some broken Starship traits to play with. Either way,
Broken
you
in the good
will
sense.
not be disappointed with these.
Yeah, bro.
Yes. Next, we have our Zen Charge bonus and
Yep.
pack sale on PC.
For a PC from the 14th to the 20th. We got a charge bonus and pack sale. The charge bonus only is available through direct credit card, PayPal, Skill, Boa Comporia, Zola, Pay Safe Card, and Steam. $10 is a 15% bonus, $20 20%, $50 is 20%, $100 is 25%, $200 is 25%. And the packs that are on sale: Temporal Special Agent, Temporal Special Agent Starter Pack, Delta Pack, Legacy Romulus Starter Pack, Legacy of Romulus Legacy Pack. Anything, you guys?
I think it's just a very useful. They have the bonus, they have the little ship packs, whatnot. Discounts on the ship. I think it just works very well. You know, you can finally get that. You know, spend $20, get like one tier 6 or something. I think it was. I don't know, but still, bonus is bonus.
Yes, indeed.
It's like they know,
Wish I had the cash to spend.
Well, you know, it is tax
They know when I
returns.
get
Uh-huh.
paid. That's what it is.
See, I'm convinced that they have a bug on my computer somewhere, and it's just like, oh, he's out of cash, or oh, he's got cash, let's do this, and like, steal his wallet.
Does
And
that
it's just like,
does that
"Hey,
mean you
guys,
have a
take
report?
my money?
Chris, you broke it.
Yeah, I walked into that one.
No, they don't have a bug on your computer. They have
Yeah, I
a bug
walked into that one.
on your forum account.
Thank you. I'll be here all weekend.
And every time I want to save money, somebody at Cryptic is like, hold my beer, or something like that. But anyway, friendly ball busting aside and everything. Moving along, we have our Marks weekend for console, or not console, but PC players. I'm having a brain fart.
Hey,
I blame getting a contact high from
doctor told
Kirby.
me to reduce my medication. Can't help it if you've been taking the ones that I've been, not taking really lately. Yeah.
But anyway, this weekend from February the 15th until February the 19th, which is this Monday, we're doing a Marks weekend where we will get a 50% bonus above the normal amounts. So if the Marks would normally reward 100 marks, you will now get 150 as just one hypothetical. It says this bonus is available for all content that rewards marks, including the 3 new reputations that came to console with Agents of Yesterday. So start building up your own fleet projects and reputations. But this is also a very great time to run stuff, especially if you're looking for that one reputation, or perhaps
Definitely.
that
I
one
know too many
reputation
people that are
set.
just taking the opportunity of this just to do the competitive war game stuff.
Yes, very much so. It's, I always love Mark's weekends. Well, what can
Not as
I
much
say?
as you
I
love
mean,
Dill
it's still,
weekends.
Dill is good.
you know,
Yeah,
Dill
fair enough.
is good. You know, there's so many things that require Dill that, you know, you just can't pass up a good Dill weekend. Yep.
No, it's
Fair
kind
enough.
of a big deal.
But
Thank you, thank you. I'll still be here.
Thank you.
But anyways, moving along, we have our Tholian Red
Yes,
Alert weekend
so
for the
The
X-Bone.
Tholian Red Alert will be available for console captains, level 50 and up, from Thursday, February 15th to Monday, February 19th. Romulan players must have selected a faction. So you will be directed to an alert when a Tholian fleet appears in sector space. Simply travel to the Tholian ship and select it to queue for the event. And there you go.
I will like to add, I do like the little RP blog they had to this. It's just very nice, puts you in the mindset of it.
It is, and the Tholian Red Alert does give, I know it does on PC, I believe it should give a choice of marks on console as well.
Oh, let's hope they don't get into a bit of a sticky situation over there.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep on going until I'm stopped. I'm unstoppable.
Yeah. He's very punny tonight. He's very punny tonight.
Why is it?
Bad puns are bad.
Why is it? Why is it
Really?
we're the only sane ones here tonight?
Really, Kirby?
It's catching. It's catching, Blade. It's catching.
I know.
Anyway.
Okay,
So moving
so
along,
what
we
we
have the
have
PC
here
patch
in the
notes for the
general
15th.
section, you got 2 bullet points here. The Born,
The born
Bajorn-
identity. That's what they should call the ship now. The born identity.
renaming my ship now. 1 second.
Oh, Lord.
Alright, the Bajorn Interceptor will no longer spawn randomly with Federation ships in the content other than Skyla and I can never pronounce. I
Scylla
don't
and
read, I just
Charybdis,
can't
it's
speak
Greek mythology, people.
See,
Scylla
now you know how I
and
feel when you say admirality.
Charybdis.
Ugh.
Admiralty.
What about that admiralty?
Kicked from server.
What about that Skyla and Charybdis?
So it is supercalifragilistic
I do have a question about that point, because I have noticed that in the Foundry creator and whatnot, they have been added to the fighter squadrons for the Federation ships.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if they've removed it from there and made it their own section or whatnot. So that's something to take a look at. Next, we have, updated short descriptions on the Miracle Worker cruiser and the Sea Story entries to be more descriptive. Now onto system stuff. Resolved an issue that prevented the phase shift personal shield from gaining a modifier when upgraded to epic quality. This update existing phase shifted personal shields to gain their gold modifier. Okay. You can't speak the English.
About the big word, Artie.
Okay. Added missing gold modifiers to some Nukara web mine launchers and the Vodwar cluster torpedoes, so that's good there. Resolved an issue where the fleet's secondary deflectors could roll out of their unique modifiers into other secondary deflector modifiers. Items in this incorrect state have had their incorrect modifiers replaced with one of that is appropriate. Yeah, it's fast. I'm losing my words.
I told that there English teacher the only letters I needed to know was U, S, and A.
Nah, leave the jokes to me. Alright, resolved an issue that allowed some of the impulse engines to be obtained with multiple aux modifiers. Well, a lot of aux. You need the aux. Existing impulse engines with duplicate aux modifiers have had the duplicates replaced with SPD modifiers. Resolved an issue that...
SPD, not STD.
Yes, SPD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's
That's
going to
what
get
he
anything
said.
weird. Don't worry, it's just normal impulse engines. Have them checked out if you need to. Alright. Resolved an issue that caused the Harrying maneuver Starship trait to force the player into combat. Well, that sucks. But I'm glad they fixed it. Reverberant quantum lock console. Resolved an issue that caused the outgoing damage to ignore resistance, and the maximum amount of outgoing damage that can be dealt from a single heal is now capped at 50,000. Resolved an issue that prevented the flight speed debuff on the Lorca maneuver from being resisted. Updated the description of the unstable anomaly Starship trait to be more accurate. This is only a display change only. And now, one of my favorite, make me a war crime. The Boolean heavy assault cannon can now be interacted with re-engineering. Destroy everything that's below 500%. Yeah, I can one-shot everything in the game at this point. Resolved an issue that caused some resonating Tetrion weapons to gain a second chance modifier when upgraded. The second chance modifier on existing items has been replaced with a damage modifier, so that's actually a pretty cool replace right there. Resolved an issue that could cause the automated aggression Starship trait to activate multiple times from some bridge officer abilities. Concentrate firepower's free high yield no longer takes precedent over any torpedo firing mode, and no longer prevents the player from activating any torpedo firing mode while available to fire. Resolved an issue where the Kentari missile launcher high yield would not give the player the concentrate firepower debuff. Firepower buff. Eesh, words. Yeah, I know, right? No,
where that was a
debuff for
debuff.
the enemy. They die, right? That's how it works. Resolved an issue that caused the concentrate firepower to show an incorrect debuff duration. That's where I got the debuff. Advanced Fleet Andorian phaser weapons have been removed from all Fleet Starbase stores. Existing versions of these weapons are unchanged. Andorian phasers obtained from the lithium store may now be upgraded and re-engineered. Resolved an issue that caused the energy siphoning field passive ability on the Bajor Defense Corps to trigger secondary deflectors. Right, and finally, for known issues, the new Day One ships flicker on the character login screen, and the console Universo Domino has not yet been included in the Alliance Dogfighter console set. So, yeah. I hope I didn't miss anything.
No, I think you got it all.
Nope.
So,
Oh no!
yeah.
If we could, I'm going to link mine
yes,
in the game real quick, so everyone can take a look at this.
I think I've got the chat up. Let's see.
Yes, I'm breaking things. I can
Yeah, so
one-shot
he did
most
that. He's
characters in
breaking
this game.
things.
If we went into PvP ground, I can one-shot most things. Great. Well, this is what happens when you have 1,500 health and then a cannon that can kill people that's below 500. Sorry. I mean, RP is going to be RP, but I want to make sure I survive while RPing.
Yes. You want to make sure you kill everything while RPing.
That too. Either or.
But anyway, this is moving along.
Moving right along.
We have a 20% ship sale for the X-Bone and PS4. That'd be you, Neela.
No, it's for ship sale for all. Mm-hmm.
Ta-da!
It is? Oh, all of them. Okay. They listed it under the X-Bone area.
If you
so,
read the
yeah,
notes, I
that
put in
confused me.
parentheses all.
He's calling you out, sir.
He's calling you out, eh?
Kirby.
Okay,
Kirby,
I didn't read it exactly the way I should have.
I did too.
Speaking of which,
Eat a
February
turd.
15th to February 19th, all platforms have a 20% ship share, where the brand new Allied Pilot Escort Mega Bundle on PC is also discounted. The Allied Flight Deck Cruiser Bundle on the consoles are also discounted with the 20%.
But anyway,
All ships and dry dock slots in the sea store are 20% off. This includes bundles which are comprised only of ships. This does not include bundles that have items other than ships in them. The ship upgrade token, ship upgrade token bundle, and fleet module are all 20% off. So, I would recommend, if you want to get that colony ship that went to colonies at tier 5, get the fleet modules now, and then save them. And then each time a player buys a tier 5 ship, they will receive a free ship upgrade token. Only occurs when a tier 5 ship is bought for the first time on an account. The claim for this token will appear in the promotions tab at the C store. When they click claim, receive a bound to account ship upgrade token in the inventory. The token stack, so if a player buys 3 tier 5 ships at once, they'll be able to claim the promotion 3 times. Tier 5 ship bundles will have the equivalent amount of tokens as the number of ships in the bundle. Buying Dyson Mega Bundle, give players 9 tokens. Anything else?
No, yeah, that covers it here. Yeah. It
No,
also
that about
coincides
covers
with that with the bonus Zen. So get your Zen now.
Yep. But anyways, moving right along, we have the Scylla and Charybdis Week 4 rewards. And this week we have, for the featured episode reward, it is the... Where's the name of this thing? It is the House of Martok Mecca.
No.
Otherwise
No.
known
Butcher's
as
Mecca.
Butcher.
No.
What?
No.
Butcher's
Martok's
Mecca.
variety as
What?
the butcher.
What?
Yeah, so it's his Mecca.
It's the Mechfest, not called the butcher.
Yeah, but it's the butcher's Mecca.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm making sure you clear that up.
Details are details are details.
When you mess it up.
Close enough. But anyways, you can get
Well, he sure
you can
butchered
get
that.
the Butcher's Mecca. I hate you all.
Chopped it up and he chopped it up.
In
and made
addition,
some
you can also
guacamole.
get the... So yeah, people out there, this is what I deal with on and off air.
You know
Only
you love it.
it's a lot more NSFW off air.
Tolerate you.
No, I tolerate you people. But, in seriousness, whenever completing the mission for the first time each week on an account, you'll get a featured episode weekly reward box where you can claim either an enhanced universal tech upgrade or a captain's specialization point. Then, the weekly reward box, the tech upgrade, and specialization point are all bound to account, may be freely traded between characters. The specialization point will require the opening character to be level 60 before they can use it. I personally will recommend the specialization point, because that's one less point you'll have to grind for. Otherwise, if you've already maxed out your specialization,
do what I do
for the
and
upgrade.
things more and stockpile 30 tokens until the next tree comes out.
That's a good idea.
Or do that.
Who needs to wait?
Yeah, he's got a good point. But, yeah. Go out there, get that mech left. Whatever the heck the name of it is. But, anyway, this is moving along. We have the RP
Yes,
blog
so
Lingua Iconia.
This is actually an interesting one. It details the adventures of a couple designers of the Romulan pilot ships, and their adventure in fighting off some obelisk swarmers that seem to have been malfunctioning. How did they survive? You'll have to read the blog to find out. But it's an interesting read.
I have to agree.
Comments,
It's a very in-depth read about the idea of the, like, you can see it in the engineer. If you take it out from like an engineer's perspective, you can see it like where he went. This would be a great idea to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it is a very interesting read. So I think those that like to read the RP blogs will enjoy this one. Jesse did a good job.
Yep. But, anyways, we don't really want to say too much about the blog and everything, because we don't want to give spoilers away for those people that might want to read it. But we will have this in the notes for you guys, so you can check that out once this episode goes live on YouTube later. But, moving along, we also have our second little RP type thing, and this is Jace's...
Yeah, it's brought to you by Federation News Network.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yes, actually, this is basically an in-depth review of the flagship of the Federation, the Enterprise. Talks a little bit about after the Iconian attack on Earth, how it was basically beat the hell, gives you a little bit more talk with an interview with Raquel Sean. Also talks about the Enterprise, how it was basically destroyed and had to be rebuilt, and her sister ship, the Yorktown, and gets into a little bit more in-depth detail of the different specs, the different, the different look altogether of the new flagship. Basically, you get to talk more to some of the different crewmates on the ship itself, and a special treat at the very bottom. There is a video from Zeph Films that decided to make a fresh out of space stock USS Enterprise refit video. So go check that out after taking a look at the blog. It's very nice.
But, yep. It's like I say, I highly advise reading the blog. Like I said, we don't want to say too much about it because it does get into the RP type of stuff. But if you enjoy Zeph's fresh out of space doc, if I get words, fresh out of space doc films, then definitely check that one out.
Yeah,
you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, if I'm able to say, it's really good ship porn. To be honest, because I have to say it that way because when you're looking into the blog, it gives you the side by side of the Odyssey next to the Yorktown. And you're just like, oh my god, it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, especially if you think back to WW2 with the Enterprise and the Yorktown, two sister carrier ships.
and the Yorktown get scuttled.
Well, not scuttled. It was more like the Enterprise got blown up, and everyone at Starfleet Command went, "Yeah, Yorktown, we're renaming you. You're Enterprise A now." And everyone on Yorktown was like, "Okay, we're cool with this."
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyways, that's our articles for the evening. We will have these in the notes for you guys later on. Highly advise you guys checking those out, especially if you've been curious as to how the Enterprise F became a Yorktown class.
I do have to say, I do like the end of the blog. There is not to make reply, there is not to reason why, there is but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600.
Yes. Yes, they did. And they came back.
And in case anybody is curious as to what that is from, that is actually a quote from the Charge of the Light Brigade poem. But anyways, moving along, we have our budget build of the evening. And you guys already had a preview of what it's going to be. And this week we have a mid-range Wells science ship tank. Now for this particular ship and everything, since there's been some scuttlebutt about a possible Tier 6 Wells in the work and everything, we decided that we were going to do a budget build over the T5 version of the ship this week, just in case. But people can hopefully see it is a 3-3 weapons layout. It does come with a secondary deflector. This was one of the earlier lockbox ships within the game, back in the days when T5 ruled the skies, essentially. And is still a very good science ship, even by today's standards, in my personal opinion. For the weapons, we have forward the Chronometric Polaron Beam Array, and also 2 of the Dominion Polaron Beams. In the back, we have the Chronometric Omni and 2 additional Dominion Polaron Beams. Then, as far as the Dominion Polarons go, they are hybrids, so to speak. They deal Polaron damage, and they have the ability to deal either the Polaron Power Drain or the Tetrion Shield Drain. Either one is their procs. The Chronometric Polarons also deal increased damage to shields, so that is very good to have there. For the shields, the engines, the deflectors, and all of that sort of thing. For the shields, the impulse engines, and the primary deflector, we went with the Jem'Hadar set. The Jem'Hadar set is a very good set for tanking and everything, especially at the budget end. This will also buff the Polaron damage of the ship as well, and give some nice little buffs to that. For the warp core, the Jem'Hadar set does not come with a warp core, so we had to source one out, and in this case, what we picked up was the Temporal Phase Overcharged core. This is a favorite of ours on the budget end, because of how good that it is. If you were here for the Delta recruitment event some years ago, you are familiar with the little device known as the Temporal Negotiator. The Temporal Negotiator... And he totally
said
went
it,
there.
so I had to.
Also, shameless product plug from Neela. But, anyways, the Temporal Negotiator would cut bridge officer cooldowns in half while it was active, and it was a device that you could get. This basically gives you the same thing, except in the form of a warp core capacitor, so that makes this a very good warp core from the Butterfly mission. Then, since you have a secondary deflector, and since this is a mid-range build, we decided to max out our secondary deflector as our chosen item to take to Epic this go-around. And this is a strategic inhibiting secondary deflector from the Fleet Science Lab, because that is a quick and easy place to get them. But the strategic inhibiting deflectors, they will pop a radiation debuff on the target whenever you throw a debuffing science power. This is things like the destabilizing resonance beam, and perhaps any other type of science power. So, very nice little secondary deflector to have. But the one we went with here was the Control X, EPG, Drain X, and SA Plus damage that you can pick up. And you can kind of customize these a little bit now, but that's the base one that we went with. So that's what we have for our engines and the main gear on the ship. For our device slots, there's 3 of them. We usually like to think of them as personal preference, but a device that we will always recommend, because it is free and everybody can obtain it, is the Subspace Field Modulator from the Skirmish mission. This is worth a free neutronium worth of damage resistance whenever you pop it, and it will give around 25 all damage resistance while it is active, so very good little device to have. Then we also have one thing we do need to mention, which is a minus 400 protonic damage resistance debuff that it will put on you as well. There's not that many enemies that use protonic damage within the game, but there are a few enemies and abilities that do, so it is worth noting that this could be a double-edged sword depending on who you are fighting. Then, as far as the console layout of the ship goes, we have 3 engineering, 5 science, and 3 tactical consoles. So for our engineering consoles, we went with a Trillium D plating from the Ragnarok mission. Now the Trillium D plating is basically a neutronium armor and a field generator slammed into one console. You'll get a nice little chunk of damage resist from it, as well as around at Mark 12 very rare, about 13% additional shields capacity, so very good console. Then we also went with the assimilated module from our Omega reputation. This will give a nice little chunk of critical severity and critical hit chance as one of the reasons we went with it. I think this one is the one that gives Control X, if I'm not mistaken, as well. But, then for our final engineering console, we have the Tippler cylinder. This comes actually with the ship itself, and I'll go ahead and showcase that in-game for everybody. If I could
And yes, he is
not brain fart and pull up the right thing.
Sorry.
That's what I was thinking. Then for our Tippler cylinder, the reason we want to keep this console in this case is it can actually be a nice little tanking console. It's a hull and shield repair plus recharge time reduction. It holds all foes in a 5-kilometer radius for 7 seconds. If a Mannheim device is equipped, the Mannheim device of course being from the Mobius Temporal Destroyer, then the held foes are untargetable. And then to self, you are untargetable for 7 seconds. While time rewinds, after 2 seconds you move backwards to your approximate previous position. You get 460 hit points per second for 5 seconds. You also get 150 shield regen to each facing per second for 5 seconds, and minus 5 seconds to the current recharge time of powers on a 2-minute recharge. So very potent little console there that you can get from this particular ship. Everything, but for our science consoles, we have 4 of the restorative particle focusers from the Crenum Science Lab. These are the Drain X and EPG variety to buff our Polaron Drain as well as our exotic particle damage. Then we also, for our 5th console, have a Delphic Tear generator for the free exotic damage that it gives. Since the ship does have a lot of science potential, it would be foolish of us, in my personal opinion, to ignore that and not take advantage of that to deal a lot of damage as a tank and to draw from that to deal threat. Then for our tactical consoles, we have the Chronometric Capacitor, which will round out our Chronometric 3-piece set, and we'll examine that in just a moment. Then we also have 2 of the Directed Energy Distribution Manifolds. To obtain these, you will need to complete the Terminal Expanse mission in the Yesterday's War story arc. Just a thing of note, in order to view the Terminal Expanse mission in that arc, you will have to have completed all previous missions before it will be revealed. Now the main reason for our Chronometric 3-piece is because of some of the buffs that it gives. The Chronometric 3-piece, whenever activated, will give a pretty hefty bonus to exotic damage as well as energy weapon damage while it is active. So it is a very nice thing to have, especially on a science ship like this. But that's what we have as far as our gear goes. For our skills, they're pretty much the standard build that you see us use quite a bit. There are a few points swapped around to give more defensive power to the ship. For our lieutenant tier, we have 2 points into improved hull and shield capacity each, 1 point into shield and hull restoration each. We also have 3 points into energy weapon training. For our lieutenant commander tier, we have points into improved EPS flow, 1 point into impulse expertise. We have 2 points into improved control X and drain expertise. We also have 3 points into advanced targeting expertise. This will offset some of that firing mode penalty, or accuracy penalty to firing modes like Thaw, Cannon Scatter, Volley, and similar. Then we also have our advanced defensive maneuvering. This will make the ship harder to hit. Then since we're going down the tank road, we're also going to pick up all 3 points in hull plating. This is an all-around damage resistance bonus that you get for free. Then we have 3 points into advanced shield hardness. This reduces damage we're going to be taking to the shields. Then we also have 3 points into weapon amplification and specialization. This is free critical hit chance and severity just by having those on the ship. Or in the skill tree, I should say. Then we have 1 point into offensive and defensive subsystem tuning each. This is free power to each of the 4 subsystems. Then, because we're going to be drawing from a lot of science powers in addition to our beams, we have an advanced exotic particle generator skill pickup. That's 3 points into that for free EPG. We've also maxed out our long-range targeting sensors. This is going to reduce the weapon drop-off damage penalty the farther away you are from the target. Then we have your choice of either hull penetration or shield penetration each. There is no right or wrong answer to this, as you can make arguments for either one. It's just a matter of which one you prefer and which one you think would work best for your build. Then we also have Warp Core Potential as our final set here, or our final skill. This is going to give us free power just by having this. For our specializations, we went with Miracle Worker Primary, Pilot Secondary. This is going to give us some nice powers to work with as far as survival goes and whatnot. If you wanted to, if you think you've got enough survival, you could mix and match a little bit here. You could swap out Pilot for Strategist if you wanted to, or you could swap Pilot to Primary and pick up Strategist, or however you want to do it. But this is just what I personally would recommend. But then, as far as our captain traits and all that stuff goes, for our personal space traits and everything, we have Accurate. Whoa. Forgot that it does that now. They changed the way the trait menus work on here a little bit. We have Accurate to give us an increased accuracy rating that's going to further offset that accuracy penalty to Thaw and other firing modes. Then we have Beam Training, which increases our damage from beam weapons. We also have Beam Barrage, which is our R&D crafting trait. Now, we always like to assume that on a character someone has leveled at least one of the crafting schools with them. In this case, we assume that it is beams for this instance. And that's going to be free damage for our beams. Then we have Elusive to make our ship harder to hit, giving us free defensive rating. We have Fleet Coordinator for free damage based on the amount of people that are in the team. It is 2% per team member, which also includes yourself. So free damage in that aspect, which as a tank can translate to free threat, making the enemy more likely to attack you. Oh, excuse me. Then we have our Grace Under Fire trait. This is the career-specific trait for engineers because the builder always defaults to an engineer. If you are not an engineering captain, but you would like to still use this trait, or to still use this build, I should say, then swap in your own career-specific trait, and you will be good to go. Then we have one of our money traits this evening, and that is the Ablative Shell trait. This gives a nice little damage resist and a heal over time effect whenever it is procced. I know it's pulled my rear end out of the fire a few times. I think on a few builds, Kirby's had some pretty good luck with it as far as defense goes. Then we have our point-blank shot from the House Peg mission. This increases the damage we deal to the target the closer we are with energy weapons, up to a specific maximum. Then for our final money trait, we have the Helmsman, which is going to give a cooldown reduction to our evasive maneuvers, allowing us to keep moving a little bit easier. And since we're any ship that doesn't always have the greatest hull rating, I felt that would be the greatest value here. Now, on the builder, one thing I do want to make note of is there's actually supposed to be 4 traits here. They still do not have the Miracle Worker trait added to the builder yet, but really quickly go into the notes, everything, which it did not copy that to the notes for some reason. I don't know why, but I'll have to update the notes for you guys. But anyways, the Miracle Worker trait, I'll just show it in game. Pull this up. So the Miracle Worker trait that you would be working with for the 4th trait would be the Going the Extra Mile trait, which is 15% increased shield and hull healing. If a target is at 90% or above when you heal them, that's in terms of hull, they will get 15% maximum hull hit points for 20 seconds, which does not stack. Then, for our other traits, we have the Honored Dead ship trait for the Federation. This can be picked up pretty cheap on the Fed side, and gives a damage resistance as long as you're in combat, stuff like that. This is essentially worth 10% resistance to you just by having this active, and is very potent even after its effects were cut in half. Then, since we're using Pilot, we also have our improved pedal to the metal, which gives us extra damage while we are at full throttle. Then we also have, for our final Starship trait, the Best Defense, which gives a hull healing buff along with the normal effects of the various attack patterns. Then, for our Space Reputation powers, we have the Advanced Targeting Systems for free critical severity, Precision for free critical hit chance, Aux Power Offense for a boost to damage based on Aux Power. Then, as the last thing, we have Particle Generator Amplifier, which boosts our exotic damage-based abilities. So, hopefully you guys can see what we're doing here. Then for our active reputations, we have the Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity. This is a nice little kick in the pants to enemies even today, dealing a good bit of physical damage to them in the area, and slowing them down when it's active. We have our Biomolecular Shield Generator. In this case, this is the little green ball you see people using in ISA that regenerates ship shields and reduces damage taken to the shields while it's active and you're within the little bubble. Then we have the Deploy Sensor Interference Platform. Then, once you hit this button, it's basically an oh crap button. It will taunt enemies to itself, and it will last until it's either destroyed or the duration is up, whatever happens first. Then we finally have our Quantum Singularity Manipulation. This is a plus 100 to all science stats for the time it is active. And will also grant a temporary cloaking effect. Now for a ship like this and everything, you'll see that it has a lot of science-based power that it can draw from. The combination that myself and Kirby will recommend is to throw your exotic boost and everything first, follow with your quantum singularity manipulation, then drop your anti-time entanglement singularity on the foes,
yeah.
and you'll get a lot more damage out of it. But anyways, that's what we have as far as our traits and everything. Now looking really quickly at our bridge officer powers, this is where it actually starts to come together. But for our Lieutenant Commander Universal, everything, we have a Lieutenant Commander Universal seat, Lieutenant Universal, Ensign Engineering, Commander Science, and a Lieutenant Science. So pretty decent flexibility on the seating, I think. For our Lieutenant Commander Universal, we have a Tactical Team 1, so we redirect the shields as well as providing certain other debuff removal, such as boarding parties. We have our Attack Pattern Beta to debuff the enemy, and our Beam Fire at Will 3 to smack anything in range with a beam. Then for our Lieutenant Universal, we went within Engineering Team 1. This is going to give a bit of hull healing, as well as purging certain debuffs like the Viral Matrix that the Iconians love to throw at people. Then we also have Reverse Shield Polarity to recharge our shields in a pinch based on damage we're taking in. For our Ensign Engineering, we went with an Emergency Power to Weapons 1. This is going to give a bit of power to our weapons, as well as providing a bit of a damage increase while it is active. Then, for our Science seats, this is where the ship really starts to showcase some of its power. For our Commander Science, we have a Gravity Well 3, a Destabilizing Resonance Beam 2, a Charged Particle Burst 1, and a Subspace Vortex 1. Then, finally, for our Lieutenant Science, we have a Science Team 2. This will give us a bit of shield healing, as well as purging certain debuffs such as subnucleonic-based effects. And then we have our Hazard Emitters 1, which will purge Borg plasma fires from their torpedoes, as well as removing other similar debuffs. But since the ship has a lot of science potential to draw from, we felt that it would be foolish to ignore that and everything. But as far as the ship goes, these are zero distance based powers that you're going to be using, such as the Gravity Well, the DRB, the Vortex, and I believe Particle Burst is the same way, if I'm not mistaken. This basically means that as far as the enemy is concerned, you're right on top of them whenever this power is being used, and these type of powers will generate a lot more threat than similar powers might. Even though you could be 9 kilometers away, as far as they're concerned,
which is why they all get mad
right
at you and come after you.
Yep. But I don't know why it didn't update the notes for some reason. It had a stupid. That's all I know to say on that one. But is it actually showing the notes for you guys?
No, it's just showing what we're seeing
that,
here.
That may have it pulled up. It's not?
Showing, yeah, Wells
weird.
mid-range budget.
Well,
yeah, I looked through the notes and didn't see what you were looking for either.
Yeah.
it's weird. But I don't know. Normally in the builder here, folks, there's a little notes section. This is where I usually tell people where they can get all of the gear, all that stuff.
Where we're looking for improved going the extra
Does it
mile,
actually show it in there already? Not just improved going.
Well, the notes are there.
I'm talking about the actual notes in the builder itself.
Will do.
Do me a favor, copy and paste them into TeamSpeak for me. That
Will
way I
do.
can copy and paste them in so they can see where to get everything and all that jazz. But yeah, like you say, people, the build notes, normally it's there. I don't know why it didn't update, but
Oops.
basically some stuff I can remember is that there we go. One moment, I will fix that for you folks while he's grabbing that.
No, that's all. That's everything.
if I can control this thing, and paste, and that should... Okay, there we go. So here's our notes. I don't know why it didn't update on my end, but since this was a mid-range budget, we assume a maximum spending limit of 30 million EC and enough dilithium to take a single atom up to epic quality. For some of our calculations, and let me actually remove that little timestamp from...
Yeah.
Oh no, it's dated. Not like we're live.
Fair enough. It's just, doesn't look professional. Okay, so, I mean, not that we've blown that straight, you know, to hell in a handbasket, but anyway, as far as our total EC spent, we have 17,900,000 EC spent into the ship. A lot of this comes from our traits, as well as a couple of our BOF powers. Then for our total dilithium spent, you're looking at 31,205 dilithium, so that's about 4 days of build time, assuming you're refining dilithium on only a single character. But yeah, that's our budget build for the evening, everything, and I'm going to go ahead and actually save this before I forget. And there we go. But any final thoughts, comments on the build, guys?
Agreed. And it's the Wells class. It looks good. Come on. So it's set on my end.
But anyways, that's our budget build for the evening and whatnot. But as far as the bugs corners go, there's one or two odds and ends that people have reported. One of them is one I'm actually hoping some of you guys can give me a bit of confirmation on, that is been reported to return, and that is the tray clearing bug that some people have reported, to where if they changed maps or on certain ships and characters, that their traits, their BOF powers sometimes would be wiped from their trays, as though they just commissioned the ship for the first time, or though they had actually done a skill reset. If you guys are seeing that, do please let me know, and everything. If you can, get some screenshots, video and stuff, that's even better, and whatnot, so that, you know, you can show it to the devs, I can show it to them, however you guys want to do that. But anyways, that's some of the big ones.
As far as bugs,
everything. One of you have something?
Surprisingly.
I've been thinking of somebody else. It's been rather quiet as far as people reporting bugs to me lately. Aside from little
just
stuff
reviewed
like
my
that.
notes, didn't say anything.
But, well, I guess we're good on that front then. But yeah, like I say, if you guys have any bugs to report and everything, you know, as much as these guys and we all like to ball bust each other here on the show, I really don't mind. That is what I signed up to do and everything, as much as some of it makes me want to face desk. Can't promise you that I won't want to face desk.
Please do it.
Depending on how bad you broke it.
It is.
But in seriousness, everything, the devs, they don't like stuff to stay broken any more than you or I do. You know, even on the forums, go on there, post in the forums. There's one for PC, one for Xbox, one for PS4 even. Let them know, say, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is the platform I'm on. If you've got screenshots and video, that's even better. But anyways, that's what we have for the Bugs Corner for this evening and whatnot. You can also leave comments and everything for these guys. They'll pass everything along to me. Or if you have my information, you can contact me in-game and say, hey, this is the bug, whatnot. We'll pass it along. But anyways, moving along to Teacher's Corner, we have... what do you got for us this week, Teacher?
Explaining the Omega upgrade. It is Omega season, as you may have known, seeing all those people out there farming Omegas as Q has asked them to do. And so I did do a video last year, what do I do with all this Omega stuff? So that shows how to process it all and turn it into an Omega upgrade. But I didn't do a video on what is an Omega upgrade and what's the best way to use it, or that kind of stuff. So I did that with this episode of Teacher's Corner. I was talking all about the Omega upgrade, what's the best way to use it, and do I use it on gear that's just starting out, low level, or do I use it on mid-range gear, like it's already Mark 7, I want to get it up to 14, or do I use it on gear that, like, reputation gear that starts out at Mark 12 and I have to get it up, and things like that. So I go over all of that, and I think it's a good video. Of course, I'm a little biased. But thoughts, comments?
I have to agree with the whole upgrade thing, because I'm always messing up with upgrading things, because I always want to wait until they come up with that 20 keys pack to get that item straight up to epic.
The ultimate one, yeah.
Yeah, because I always have the terrible luck with upgrades, and I have to say with this video now, I think I know what to do now. But heighten my chances more or less.
Well, good.
Definitely something I'm glad to see. A lot of people get
About
kind
the
of
special
confused about
upgrades, yeah, I mean,
the ultimate tech
normal
upgrades and
upgrades
whatnot.
are pretty okay with, but the special upgrades, they're like, well,
Yeah.
what's the best way to use this one? So,
But anyways, we'll have a link in the notes for you guys to check that video out and whatnot. If you're being kind of curious about what's the best way to use the Omega upgrades, what's some stuff that we might recommend. But anyways, whatnot, we've come up on our final segment of the evening, and we have the
Okay,
RP
so a
Corner
friend
with
of mine
Artie.
gave this
What do you got
idea
for
to me
us,
that,
dude?
hey, some of those video games that you see these starships and out here and in the Star Trek universe, but you don't see them in STO? I mean, even in STO, they're using outdated 24th century equipment. And where's all this, really cool tech that you see after Dominion War? And obviously, that would be upgraded tech for the 25th century, right? Well, where is it? What would it be? Well, I hope some of you guys will recognize some of these things, because these are the small crafts of the 25th century. Well, starting out, you know how the Peregrine was always such a great little fighter during the Dominion War. That was such a great idea. It had its own game, more or less. But it wasn't the Peregrine fighter that they used. It was something called the Valkyrie Fighter. You remember these little buggers. They're one-seaters, had tons of phaser pulse cannons, missiles, whatnot. It had multiple different variants. I believe it was on some sort of the special carrier, the Typhon carrier, had its own little starfighting game, fighting. I don't know who they fought in that game. I didn't get to play it myself, but it's a fighter that you would think it's the definite upgrade from the Peregrine. Why wouldn't we see that in the 25th century? Why are we still using the Peregrine fighter itself? I mean, yeah, we do have the Cation stealth fighter. That's definitely an upgrade, but you know what I mean. Moving on, we have the Venture Scout. You may recognize this one from from games like Star Trek Armada, or might even remember it from Star Trek Insurrection. It's the little small craft that Data has when they're flying over Baku. I mean, it's a fast shuttle, expanded sensor arrays, whatnot, and it was such a strong ship. I'm surprised they don't use it in the 25th century, or at least an upgraded version of it. From there, there's the Type 11 shuttle that you see in the Next Generation movies. You see it in Insurrection, as well as Nemesis, as well as you see the Argo shuttle, but I'll get to that. But the Type 11 shuttle is basically a smaller, downgraded, faster Danube runabout. So why would we still use the Type 7s or the F-class shuttle from TOS if we have this Type 11 that's basically making the same speed as our smallest, lightest, warp-capable starship. No, it's outrunning Miranda's at this point. All right, but those are some of the simple ones I have. If you have suggestions of stuff that what different small crafts we would actually have from maybe one of the other Star Trek games, books, whatever sources from Memory Alpha, Memory Beta, whatnot, feel free to send me a message. I'll happily have a dialogue about it. But these are some of the stuff I have, and what are your thoughts?
It's definitely interesting to take a look at the small craft. People tend to forget about them or discount them as oh, I had a thought there. As too small to, to handle themselves.
Right. Which, funny enough, my friend also came up with the idea of, if they did add newer small crafts like the Type 11, the Valkyrie Fighter, which I'm pretty sure they have to talk to Activision for that one, and other types of these newer small crafts, that would be a definite upgrade of what we already have. It would basically be the shuttle version of the Tier 2 ships. So, small crafts are actually under the Tier 1 or are Tier 1 style ships. So these would probably either have a rear weapon slot or another console slot, maybe a secondary deflector, who knows? Maybe expanded BOF seating. That would be pretty cool, right? Actually have a lieutenant station on that fighter instead of just an ensign. I mean, that would be great. Maybe do some of those specialty miracle worker stuff on a small craft, if anything.
On a completely unrelated note,
Oh my goodness, really?
Just to annoy him, I made that on camera.
Dark Blade.
Whenever you go back and watch the stream, people, you'll see me crank out a experimental tech. You'll see me crank the beam. You'll see me flip it to ultra, and you'll see me re-engineer it on 2 rolls.
Well,
to get that.
Yeah.
Dark Blade.
I give you the slow clap, sir.
Just no.
Yes.
Yes.
That is revenge for earlier in the episode, people.
Let's take this out. Let's take this out again.
Okay.
But no, that's basically my section.
Okay. Yeah. And also just because I can. Party on the bridge. But anyways, all joking and stuff aside, folks, whatnot, that's pretty much what we've got for this evening. And everything, if you guys have any budget builds you'd like to see us do, let us know. We do take requests. And everything, let us know, are you more of a bare bones type of budget? Do you have a mid-range budget in mind? Do you want to go high end? Let us know what type of ship you want, what you want to do with it. Are you wanting more of a, or you want to be more of a space wizard? Do you want to be a tank? Do you want to be just a pure raw damage dealer? And let us know what ship you want as well, and we'll hook you up. If you think your gear is in order, but you think if you could just time certain powers and stuff a little bit better, if you think maybe you could just get to this one spot a little quicker, and you think your piloting needs a little bit of work, then get a brief little video of your piloting so we can see what you're doing and where you're at. Feel free to submit that to us on our website and everything. We will have that in the video description for you guys, I believe. But we'll help you out there. If you have anything you would like to see TeacherKirby go over for Teacher's Corner, maybe you just don't understand something to do with the duty officer system or whatever it is, let her know. She'll do a video over that. If you've got anything RP-wise you want to see Artie do, let him know. He also takes requests and can go over how an RPer might cover something such as a
Definitely.
mutiny in the crew as a hypothetical. But also, if you've got any bugs, do let me know as well and everything, or feel free to go onto the forums, let them know and whatnot. Either way, as long as it gets to them, that's what matters. But also a shout out to our good friends over at the Temporal Armada. They're a very cool bunch of folks who definitely enjoy their radio program and everything as well. And also a shout out to our other good friends on the radio, the Kurtang Pirate Radio Crew. A very cool bunch of people, definitely check them out. You won't be disappointed and whatnot. But anyways, that's what we have for a show this evening, folks. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed everything. But we'll have all this stuff in the notes, everything. And one thing I do see, it's the little question in chat there, Artie's taken care of. The fastest way to level alts to 11 or 15. Definitely duty officer missions, or yeah, stuff like that. But anyways, that's what we have for a show for this evening, folks. Whatnot. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed everything. But for now, this is the Pilot Review Show, and we're working on
See ya.
Yeah.